Hey there, you guys. So I wanted to talk about the essay draft that's due on Friday. Okay, I had a few questions about, well, what is it? Is it basically just an assignment that combines the two things we've already done, right, on paper, the thesis and the one body paragraph? It's not quite it. We need a little bit more information. All right, so for this assignment, you are submitting a 2-page essay, right? We've all written an essay in our lives. So, you have that kind of background information, and based on what we've been talking about, that you really want to develop your ideas and make your reader feel them, make them feel like they're part of it. That's the main purpose here. Okay, so in this essay, what you'll do is you'll create an introduction paragraph. The first sentence should be something interesting, engaging. Start your reader off with something to get them hooked right at the beginning. Don't start off with nowadays, throughout time. All of those are so overused, and just they end up making a boring sentence. All right, so something engaging about your topic. You're interested in it, so what drew you to it? Okay, think about that. The rest of the intro provides some context, maybe definitions that you might need to identify, and then we get to our thesis statement, right? We've already done the thesis workshop. We've worked through some ideas about that, how to revise. That's a big thing. Do not forget to revise the information that we've talked about, just to make it a little bit clearer. We can always revise, okay? And after the thesis, which is, by the way, the last sentence of your introduction, you don't want things after it, because that, your reader won't remember it as much, right? They expect it in the last sentence of the intro. That's where it'll stick in their brain. So keep that kind of rule of thumb. One sentence, last sentence of the intro. Okay? Then you've got your 2 body paragraphs, or 3 if you have 3 forecast elements, right? Remember that the number of body paragraphs you have for this essay is directly related to the number of forecast elements in your thesis. Make sure they're in the same order. Make sure they are reflecting one another. You might have gone ahead and changed one of your body paragraphs, so just make sure you change that in the thesis, okay? And we develop those just like we did for that 1 paragraph assignment. Now, I want to point out one thing, because this is something that a lot of you struggled with a little bit. The one that sticks out in my mind the most, I'm going to use as an example. So don't feel called out. It's just a good example of how to, solve a little bit of a problem before we come to it. So what we are trying to accomplish here is showing the reader, right? Explaining why we feel the way we do. And you want to make sure that your examples aren't too specific without sort of more general context. So, for example, if you were writing about maybe someone, a customer, right? A customer is not always right. And you say, okay, well, they want free stuff, whatever that stuff may be, right? You want to say, okay, well, what does that mean for the customer more generally? And ultimately, the customer has unrealistic expectations. They expect more than what is being offered, right? So then, okay, so you identify that and then go into an example. For example, this situation. And then you can make the reader kind of feel that. We've all seen that happen, or, maybe we've been that person, right? So we can all engage with this idea. And then you move into your next example, again, with a more generalized idea, narrowing it into a specific example, just like we've been doing, okay? The thing about the body paragraphs is I really want to make sure you go back and look at the comments that I've made for you in the 1 body paragraph submission, okay? Revision is really important. You have to recognize, maybe some shortcomings in a particular part of your writing, which is fine. I have them. You all have them. It's just about identifying them and being able to work through them. So make sure you look at your comments. That's a really big thing, okay? And then, of course, at the end of the body paragraphs, you always want to include a transition that moves the reader into the next idea. We talked about those a little bit, all right? At the end of your body paragraphs, you want to include a conclusion paragraph. This conclusion paragraph will identify the things that you talked about in the essay. And it's just going to be nice and general, just reminding the reader of what you've just persuaded them. So you want to make sure that your statement of purpose is present in there. You want to make sure your forecast elements are each presented in your conclusion paragraph. And the big thing about it is you don't want to restate your thesis as is, right? So what you'll do is break it apart into a couple of sentences, and that will give you the opportunity to do well. Okay, it's just a reminder. Okay, so to wrap things up, 2 pages. Okay, use the assignment requirements document that I gave to you guys a couple weeks ago. Right, things don't exist in a vacuum. We're all working toward a goal. Okay, so keep that in mind. Make sure to refer back to the assignment requirements document. 2 examples per body paragraph. Make sure to give sort of a general idea of what the example is about, and then dive into the example. Make us feel it, right? Develop it enough. And then that way you can then transition into a new idea. Okay, so those are the big things that I just wanted to go over really quickly. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions about any of this, definitely send me an email. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys soon. See ya.